Okay, we're recording. Hey guys, you remember me? The weird okay, I'll stop. I won't stop it. Hello. This is gonna be an interesting video because I'm finally gonna. I haven't posted a video in a long time, and I wanted to explain a little bit of why that was. On this side, I'm changing my focus on what I'm going to be doing for. So, I've talked about it before on my channel, but like, I want to be a writer, and writing scripts for videos, and then also trying to write and also trying to be draw art, because that's a passion of mine. I like drawing art. Is taking up way too much time, and then filming videos, and then editing videos, and then filming skits for those videos, which obviously, is kind of like stupid because, it's one of those things where you're like, well, you don't have to do that. You can just hire somebody to write scripts or hire somebody to edit. You can do all these things, and it's like, I don't make that much money, and also, what a lame way to start your YouTube career, right? Basically, I did want to kind of make a career out of my videos so that I could support myself until I became a writer of such, because I had this whole thing planned out that, like, my mom was going to retire in a couple of years, and then I was going to retire from the business I worked under her, and I was going to do YouTube videos while I supported myself with my writing, because I have absolutely no marketing for my books, because I already published my book, Red Haven, and yeah, I have no marketing, which sucks when you're a writer, and, like, I'm thinking about maybe trying to find a publisher, too, this time, instead of publishing independently on Amazon. Maybe that could help. But the first publisher I ever went to was kind of, I'm not going to say scummy. Scummy would be a bad word, but kind of just, like, very, like, it was going to cost $2,000 to even get the book published. Like, what the heck is that? Like, back in the day, at least from what my mom told me, like, you submitted your manuscript, and then companies would be like, oh, this is good, or oh, this is bad, and then they would kind of barter with you how much it was going to cost to publish it, how much royalties came back to you versus the publishing, a whole bunch of this thing. So I'm thinking of maybe doing traditional publishing next time. I don't know how that will go. But I will always have a home here on YouTube, and I do want to still continue to make videos. They're just going to be different kinds of videos. I'm thinking about changing my content to be more focused on my writing stuff, which includes eggs, love eggs, but excerpts from the book in, kind of a, I forgot to say that this is a completely new room. I moved a whole bunch of my room around, my house around. So what was my videoing studio kind of thing is now my gaming center. So this is my bedroom. I am on my bed right now. Yeah. I actually kind of like this. Like, looking at it now in my OBS, it's kind of like, this is kind of a vibe. I kind of like this. Which, by the way, I will be submitting videos, I think. Like, if I have something like what this channel is basically going to become, I think I'm going to change it back to the Dragon's Tongue, because this isn't going to be my main channel. I'm going to make, I'm going to post my, I don't know what they're going to be called, kind of like promos, I guess, for my books, right? I'm going to be taking excerpts from my books, and making little kind of comic things out of them, like drawing out scenes, and then voice acting in them, and, like, giving you little sneak peeks of kind of what's inside the book. There's another YouTuber that does that. His name is Sam Fenna. Lucy? Speaking of Sam Fenna, my cat's name is Lucy. But he does that too with his books, where he has a much bigger YouTube following than I do, obviously, which helps. But I think it's really cool how he takes his animated characters and he makes animated scenes from his book to kind of give you an idea of what's in them, and I think that that's really cool. And it's a great kind of marketing tool because it gives you, an idea of like what is in the book, and also kind of, grabs a different kind of audience. uh Sorry, I got a Lucy hair in my mouth. But I think that that's really cool, so I'm gonna try and kind of start doing that, which I think will also be fun because it'll also help me get drawing practice in too. They say to draw every day. I don't do that because I'm busy with other things, but if I get to drawing right now, and continue drawing out these things, which might start out with pencil, might not, and drawing out just kind of other animated kind of stuff, which is something I've always wanted to do. Draconic, my Dragon's Tongue videos that I had been posting about obsidian and like all the the phobias and stuff like that. All those kinds of things were stuff that I was doing for fun, and I am not gonna sit here and lie to you that I didn't enjoy it. So here, a big thing to me is that I've always liked YouTube. If I decided not to be a writer, I would love to continue doing those videos because they're really fun. I actually do love doing the research on them, like all the things that I learned just in the few videos, like the thing about liminal spaces with the backrooms video, which did superbly well, so thank you all for that. That was crazy. Like, I nearly got 400 views on that video. That's crazy to me. That was insane. I kept looking at it every day. I'm like, it's up more! But it was popular at the time, so it helped. But like all the things that I learned, about phantom limb syndrome, and that was like the last one that I did, and all these kind of other things that I honestly love researching stuff. I love learning about stuff. I was homeschooled, so everything in my life when I was a kid was a learning subject, right? Everything that when we went to the grocery store, my mom had us look at labels and stuff, and like, this has this much calcium in it, and calcium is good for your bones, and everything was a lesson. When you're homeschooled, everything is at school, because you're homeschooled, obviously. But like, because I grew up that way, everything being a learning experience has been, and it doesn't mean that you have to be homeschooled to have that. A ton of people love learning about stuff. But I feel like that's been a big part of it, is me being homeschooled, and like learning on the go has always been a thing. And I love learning about stuff. I love history. Like I always said in my previous videos, my favorite part was the history segment, where you get to learn the people who discovered these things and named these things, and these things were named after these people who discovered it. Like, that's all so cool to me. So if I if I didn't want to be a writer, this would be a lot easier to do. But doing the filming and the editing, and then like on Mondays I would write a script and then film and then edit the rest of the week and then come up with a thumbnail, and I could do it, but doing it while also writing was getting pretty tough. Like, I think I did it. There's Frank. Remember Frank, the rooster? At least he's not crowing, but he is making the road. Anyway, dinosaur. But yeah, what was I saying? If like, there's just too much to be doing and not focusing on my writing career is kind of the big thing. Because I was doing like writing one week and then editing videos the other rest of the weeks, and it was just taking it out of me. I was losing interest I was focusing more on my YouTube than I was on my book, my new novel, and I kind of started to realize that when I would write a little bit and then I'd look back at my phrases, because one thing that I hate in writing is when sentences are kind of wonky, or paragraphs. So I love going over paragraphs and being like, oh, that doesn't sound right, so fix that sentence. Those kinds of little things that you learn being a writer, where you you have to go back over your work. And And I was starting to realize that some of my stuff was kind of dragging out, and I didn't really enjoy writing because I was writing a lot of my YouTube scripts. So, yeah, as much as I love to make those videos, my writing is what I want to focus on because I love writing. And like in a different time, I could enjoy doing the YouTube stuff, but gosh, guys, there's so much lore that I have in my head that I would never get out. Like the story I'm working on right now has been a thing for a long, not near as long as some of my stories, but it's still been a thing for a long time. Um, and like I want to get it out. I have so many different ideas in my head that aren't made for YouTube, you know. They're novel ideas. I think of these scripts, I'm thinking like, oh, that would make a great book idea. That would make a great novel idea. That would, like, what if this happened? These kinds of instances. And again, I could make YouTube videos. I could write YouTube scripts, but again, it would be more. It's not how my brain works. My brain thinks of stories, and then I think of a character, and I'm like, oh, this character would make it a great thing, and maybe this thing happened to them where they were young, and this is why they do this, and you know, thinking about all the characteristics of the protagonists in books and stuff. You know, it's just a different kind of writing, right? It's a different kind of headspace, you writing scripts for YouTube versus writing stories. So, with that all being said, I know I just rambled a lot there, but that all being said, I want to continue boosting my writing career rather than my YouTube career. But that still does mean having somewhat of a platform on YouTube does help. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing YouTube little short excerpts of my books, basically. Little short animated kind of things. Not like fully animated, but like, you know, drawing up a scene and then voice acting that scene of what happens in the book and all that kind of thing. And also, I'm trying to post more on social media to kind of get that ball rolling too, which sucks because I hate social media in the way that I can never keep up with it because I like posting one thing every day, which does bring me to my next kind of thing I wanted to bring up, which is the Kane and William comic strips that I've been doing, which is just something that I kind of came out of nowhere, but I was thinking about it, and I'm like, they would be really funny, because I could think of a whole bunch of situations, which, for those who don't know, Kane and William are in my book, Red Haven. They're two characters, they're antagonists in that book, and they are the main villain in a lot of my stories. They're kind of an overarching thing, and, like, I'd love to do a video on just them and how they came to be, because it is actually kind of fascinating, but them two that have been in my book, like, they're older gentlemen, and they grew up in the 80s when they were, like, you know, young teenagers, and I was thinking, like, it'd just be fun because when I'm thinking about stories, I'm thinking about the whole story, right? I'm not thinking about this character as one isolated incident. You think about characters in that their whole life, and when I think about their whole life, what happened between when they met versus coming up to where they are at in Red Haven, these full-on villains. There are villains, but not every villain started out that way. You know, there is every person has that time in their life where it was just things were perfect and things were fun and life was good. So that's kind of where that's at, and I'm just always loved the idea of making comic strips. I've always made comic strips since I was a young kid. I made little comic strips. Hold on one second. So to make my point, I wanted to show you this. So these are some of my old composition notebooks, right? This one. And these are filled with comic shorts. So like I did I took like some books from like the Calvin and Hobbes kind of thing, and did these small. My first ones that I did that I actually got complimented on by like my brother and my family and such were these small shorts where I made Plants vs Zombies was a big thing at the time, and so I made these kind of like, I don't know if you can see that, but I made these like short like stories with the zombies and stuff like that in these like again, this is old. this is old stuff, but I mean this is funny. I liked doing like funny faces and stuff like that, and all these, cuz like again, I love, like, one of my older brothers, I think it was, who left, like, I think it was the Essential book of Calvin and Hobbes, and, like, I fell in love with that. I read that book religiously all the time because I thought it was so cool. You know, just these black and white, 4-panel strips that ended in a punchline kind of thing. And of course I did other stuff too. I did like these, what I called them epic draw battles, and there were these epic draw battles of like different characters and stuff like that. This is all very nerdy. But let's see. This one has more stuff in it too that is like, I just have tons, like I have whole composition notebooks filled with stuff like this. These whole sections of like, this is actually specifically my epic draw battles book. So all this has is these freaking fight scenes in it and stuff. I mean, this is old for one, but you can see where like I loved drawing stuff and comics, and I really got into manga as of course I got older, like everybody does. But I loved the old, like, Calvin and Hobbes style, just black and white, simple black and white, except for, like, he did the occasional colored panel, which is what I was kind of doing, too. I'm kind of following that model, where it's, like, a 4-piece black and white comic panel that ends in a punchline, and, like, then every once in a while you do a colored panel, which I do with acrylic and stuff. It's fun. I'm gonna say that right now. It's just fun to do. And I don't know if I'm gonna continue that at the moment, but again, now that I've started it, I have I can think of so many other funny scenarios to put those two in, where it's like something that they might have actually did with their kids, Again, growing up in the 80s, like as kids was kind of insane. Like, not that I grew up in the 80s, but like, it was just a different time, especially being a kid, and it's kind of that atmosphere that I wanted to kind of, grasp at and kind of portray. And again, like, they are villains for sure in the majority of my stories, but there was a small section where everything was perfect, everything lined up perfectly to be like, these are just two good friends hanging out and doing stuff, and so that's kind of what I was posted a couple of those on my like community post things, but that's something that I'm going to continue to post. I'm going to continue to draw and do stuff like that. Again, the excerpts from my books is going to be something that I'm going to try and focus on, and still, again, I'm going to change this back to the Dragon's Tongue because that makes the most sense for what I'm going to be posting, which is the book excerpts. But I will also be posting more videos just like this, where it's just me talking again, because these are the easiest videos to make, and there's no editing, there's no anything like that. And I do like making these. One of my favorite, I loved making the other complex videos with the editing and everything. That was fun. Like I said, if I wasn't striving to be a writer, like I wanted to be a writer since I was young, and obviously I've been doing drawings more than I've been doing writing, but when I got to an age where I started writing, I was like, I love this. This is cool. Like making up characters and making up these cool situations and actually finding words that flow and sentences that flow. It was just like, Obviously my mom got me into reading really, really early, which also helped. Like, I read, she was a big fan of Stephen King. I read some Stephen King. I read a lot of Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is like my favorite writer, I do believe. I even got into stuff like Ayn Rand, which has nothing to do with like her philosophies so much as it does her writing style. Like, even if you don't agree with her philosophies or whatever, her writing style is unique, and that's one thing I look for when I'm reading something is does it flow well? John Steinbeck too. God, I love his writing. It's just it's so good. Like, I love it. Anyways, I'm nerding out, but I love writing. I want to be a writer, and I love making the YouTube videos, but I want to be a writer. I want to be able to get my stuff out there and be able to, basically, I just want to live off writing books. That's what I want to do. I want to do that. But that means I need an audience. I need somebody, I wrote a book, and everyone that has read it, even people who were assumedly grammar Nazis, apparently, funny little story there, but even she liked it. Like, a bunch of, like, my family and everybody that we, like, gave it to and promoted it to did really like it, and I'm like, it, like, had nothing but praise, and I was like, god dang, like, if I could only reach more people. Like, I went to a book signing at my local library, and I sold out all my books. No one else sold out all their books except for me. And it was like, god dang, like, I hope all I want is for them to enjoy it. I want people to enjoy what I read. As I grew up on the internet, I saw a lot of bad stories, a lot of fan fiction, which, not that I'm saying that it's like bad stories as in, oh, these people suck, they suck at writing, all these stuff, but it gives me a challenge. It gives me a, motivation. That's what I wanted to use. It gives me motivation because I'm like, because there are things when I was a kid that I liked that people didn't like, and I'm like, why didn't they like it? And then I watch videos on why people didn't like it, and I'm like, oh, that's why. I love hearing that stuff. I love my YouTube commentators because of that. Like, YouTube commentary is one of the easiest forms of content to make, but I do like it when it comes to writing advice. When people dislike a movie or a series, they'll talk about why they dislike the movie or the series, and a lot of times it will be focused on the writing. It's like, don't do this. This character shouldn't say this. This is stupid. Why are you putting politics into it? Don't put politics into your writing. Or if you do, make it more subtle. Or this couldn't happen. A better way to do it would be this. You make this character seem smart, but in reality, they're actually dumb if you think about it. Like, all these things that contribute to becoming a better writer, taking those things in and becoming a better writer, finding what does and does not work for people. And everybody's different, but there is a law of the land of writing. And it's just, all these things encourage me. I'm sure for those writers, maybe they could just be sad and be like, you don't like my writing, but it's like, well, be a better writer. It's okay to take criticism when it comes and be like, okay, I'll do better next time. Like, that's the attitude you should have. And that's kind of what I want to do. I like listening to people talk about stuff because it gives me new ideas. It gives me new things to be like, oh, I've even come across some people who have hated content, and then I'm like, well, I have content that's exactly that same kind of storyline or story beat, and then they explain why they don't like it, and I'm like, oh, you know what, that makes sense, I should change that. Like, it just opening your mind to different people and what they enjoy. And ooh, I'm petting my cat just below the screen here, so you can't see it, but I'm sure you can hear her purring. But all these things. Anyway, I'm kind of hold on, my thing's gonna go over. Sorry, that was my inverter going off because it's getting overheated. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. I've already been talking long enough, but I wanted to make this video because I do want to tell people who were fans of my content, because there were some people who were fans, that, like, what exactly it is that I'm doing and why I haven't been posting. And Lucy, stop flashing people. Gosh. And I will be, again, like I said, I might just post more videos like this where it's just me talking about stuff, because I do like talking about stuff. I made a whole gosh dang series on the freaking Beastars videos, because that was something I was passionate about talking about. I was like, this is this is stupid, or this is dumb, and that kind of thing. In movies that come out, I might have different like opinions on those and stuff. So, it's just I can't do both. I can't be a dedicated YouTuber doing the filming and the writing and the editing and all this stuff while also trying to be a full-time writer writing novels. Like I am halfway through my second novel. I want to focus on that. Another thing that I forgot to bring up real quick. One of the best ways to get known as a writer is to go onto Reddit and post to sites like No Sleep. Everyone knows about No Sleep. That's where a lot of people have made, like, gotten an audience because they post their horror stories. So I have made a Reddit account. I have sold my soul to the devil that is Reddit. I'm joking, of course, but I'm gonna be honest, Reddit is pretty toxic. But I did it for my writing, okay? And I subscribe to I'm following several writing subreddits that are short stories or horror stories or all these things, and while I'm writing my book, I'm also going to be writing short stories, because I can crank those out like nothing. I'm working on one right now I think is going to be pretty good. So that's also going to help me get some people to, kind of rally around, me and stuff like that. Or at least, my writing. Just getting it out there, again, I want to be a writer. That's what I want to be. I love YouTube. YouTube has inspired me in so many ways. And again, in a different world, I could have probably continued to do YouTube videos. I was actually doing really well in terms of making a whole new account, and then I had 24 people subscribe to me, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but I had only been making videos for a couple months, and slowly that number kept bumping up. I had 6 subscribers, then 16, and then all of a sudden I had 24, and I was like, wow, that's a lot within the amount of time that I had been posting. So, in a different world, I could have been, I could have actually had a bigger following, I think, but I have already committed to writing. I think that's what my purpose in life is to write stories that inspire people, write stories that make people laugh or make people cry or that's what I want to do. I want to make people cry. No, but, you know what I mean, right? Any writer knows what they mean, where it's it's a compliment if your book makes somebody cry. It's a compliment. As long as it's not because of they're offended or because they're stuff like that, obviously. I'm talking about emotions, right? If you kill a character off, Dean Koontz is one of those where his books make me cry sometimes. Like the first Odd Thomas book was the first book I ever actually cried while I was reading, and that made an impact on me, which again, women a lot of women cry during books, so it's not that much of to me, it's a compliment because I don't cry that much with books. It's hard to me, it's hard to be okay, sure, that person died, great. I don't cry often with books, but Dean Koontz can make me bawl pretty bad. I'm not talking about freaking women just being all I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the TikTok girls that film themselves crying because they read a book. That's just silly to me. It's fine. Do whatever you want to do, but it's just silly to me. It's why would you set your camera up and then cry on camera and be like, this book made me cry? What are you doing, you silly crackheads? But to me, the first book that can ever make you actually cry, is impressive, and it leaves a lasting impact. And me being on the other side, I want to be on the other side of that. I want to be on the side of the writer who makes someone cry rather than the person who cried because a writer inspired them that much, a writer impacted them that much. There goes my inverter again. Okay, it's over. So, yeah, that's what's going to be going through right now, what I'm going to be doing right now. I just thought I'd update and let you all know, so there is a bit of context to everything that's been going on, the strange things I've been posting, about the Kane William comic things, which I'm sure people are just like, what the fuck is this? But, yeah, I want to focus on my writing career is basically what it is. And it doesn't mean I'm abandoning this. Again, I'm going to be trying to make a following on YouTube with the more just writing out funny videos or skits or something like that. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know what all is gonna happen, but I just want to focus on my writing career and write stories. And yeah, all the stories that I'll be writing and posting on No Sleep or any other subreddits will eventually go into hopefully a book of short stories, right? Because that's always fun to be like, have all these stories and then be like, then go over them, check them, and make sure they're all like the punctuation is good and everything, and then just collab them into another whole book of short stories, because that's always fun. I love writing short stories. Short stories are fun because there's no pressure to be like, oh, this is, you gotta follow this storyline or you gotta do this. You just get on there and just write, baby, write. And that's what I love doing. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you watched this all the way to the end, me rambling. Lucy, you want to say goodbye? You want to say goodbye to me? She just purrs. No, you stay here. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be doing, and that is what I'm going to be focusing on. So, yeah. If I see you in the next video, I will. If I don't, I won't. Peace. Lucy.